Good morning. It's June 20th. It's Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann. I'm Ann Rossley. I'm with Kyle Harvey. We're with Beard and Warner's Gold Coast office, and we love to talk about real estate in downtown Chicago. Good morning.
Good morning. We're shot from a cannon this morning.
We sure are. Okay, but we're here.
But
we're going to make up.
Excellent. We got a lot to talk about today.
We do. Should we jump right into it?
Jump right in. Let's go.
Okay. First of all, we're going to talk about statistics like we always do. All right, I'm using the market snapshot for the first couple of slides. This is all of the multiple listing service. This includes the Chicago area. It includes North Shore, West Suburbs. It's the whole kit and caboodle. This is the number of closed listings last week compared to the year before. So we had 2,694 closings versus 3,732 the year before. And you can see all the blue here is 2022. The green is 2021. And we're behind last year, but that's not a shock given it was a record year. Number of listings under contract last week was down as well. 3,798 properties went under contract versus 4,359 the week before. The year before for the same week. Excuse me. So, and you can see, again, we're generally tracking below. New listings. New listings is still below. This week, 7,018 new listings hit the market versus 8,246 during the same week last year. And active properties are going up. You can see that we have 47,560 in the whole metropolitan area versus 38,000. Let's see, that was in January. So
yeah, but it's usually a much more dramatic number. Usually the difference between January and June is much more dramatic than under 10,000.
Right.
It's been a low inventory year. Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Okay, so showing time showings. This is always a weird graph to show because it's normalized to the first week of January, folks. So it's not really comparing versus previous year. It's compared to that first week. And wouldn't you say we had a lot of people looking that first week of January?
We had a ton of people looking the first week.
The market was very strong the first 2 months of the year. So, but you can see we're trailing off now. Our number of showings is dipping down, and this is going to lead into our conversation about number of buyers in the marketplace. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, the next statistics I'm going to show you are for these communities. These are census tract areas. You probably, viewing public, don't recognize these numbers, but they're basically the numbers we use because they're census tract numbers. So 8032 is the Loop, Near North, Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Uptown, and Edgewater. So that's what we're going to look at here. This is just since the beginning of the month, single family homes. We've had 113 new properties hit the market versus 66 single family homes that closed in those neighborhoods. 71 closed, 66 are under contract. Mm-hmm. So, this is pretty healthy. When you do a comparison of the number of closed compared to the number of active, the number of under contract, it's still over half.
Yeah, no.
So, and here's the condos, 1,187 new since the beginning of the month, 714 closed, 678 under contract.
That's a lot. So, I mean, those are similar numbers. Yeah,
exactly. 2 more slides. All right, this is now by township. And we've got the North Chicago Township and Lakeview Township. North Chicago is from the river up to Fullerton, and Lakeview is from Fullerton up to Devon. And so you can see they track pretty closely. Under contract, North Chicago had 630. This is condos and single family homes, by the way. It was down 15% versus the year before. Lakeview, 571 under contract, is down 12.7% versus the year before. So that would be like versus up here, I guess. So And homes for sale, you can see the inventory starting to creep up here. Homes for sale in North Chicago, 1899 is down almost 30%. Excuse me. Down 30% versus previous year. 792 homes in Lakeview is down 35% versus previous year.
So it's really interesting. The available homes are down, and thus contracts would be down because there's fewer things to buy. I mean, it's
Right.
really a very interesting problem, one that's not easy to fix, like everything nowadays.
That's right. So we're adding this new segment. This week's Mortgage Minute comes from Maria Kennedy of A&N Mortgage. And we asked her a few questions, and she got back to us with some answers. She was unable to be with us this morning. So we asked her the question, okay, rates were at 4% at one point, and now we're like approaching the 6.5%. So what does that mean for you, the buyer? 4% to 6.5%, call it a 2.5% interest rate split. According to Maria, the difference is $124 per month for every $100,000 you're buying. So if you have $100,000, what's the better way to say it, Kyle? If you have a $300,000 mortgage, then 3 times 124 is the difference of you buying today versus you buying in January.
Yeah. It's about $500.
Right.
Almost $500 difference per month, which is significant. So that is, we recognize that. Right now, that is going to be significant. Yeah.
Next question.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
What the adjustable rates are. And over the 30 years, because when I got my first mortgage, everyone was talking about adjustable rates. Adjustable rates were a place to go when you needed a lower rate. And I remember being afraid of trusting them. They've always stayed lower than the rates, over 30 years. But right now, adjustable rate mortgages where you have a fixed rate for a certain period of time, and then the bank is allowed to adjust the rate unless you refinance. Those rates are even with fixed rate mortgages right now. Why is that, Ann?
Well, I'm not an economist, but it's something about the yield curve and the treasuries. And right now, short-term rates are high compared to long-term rates. Typically, short-term rates would be lower. So,
yeah.
I remember lots of times Tom and I would, when we were buying property, we would do the adjustable, and we were able to get like a 5% adjustable instead of a 7.5% fixed. And you could fix it for 7 years. And if you thought you were only going to live there 5 years, you figured, boy, that was a good bet, right?
Right.
You're saving 2% on the interest rate, but that's not the case right now. Now, some say that shows that we're going to go into a recession. Remember, we need 2 quarters in a row of shrinkage before we can technically call it a recession. We have had 1 quarter of shrinkage. So when the numbers come out, they may call it officially, a recession. But, that's a title, right?
Yes. And also, once things stabilize a bit, once we know where the future is going to be, the short-term rates will likely drop, and then things will change again. So remember, it's like anything, it's a market, and markets change according to market conditions. So, let's just
down payments is the next question, Kyle.
Yeah.
So, if somebody needs a down payment, they typically think, I have to have 20% down in order to buy. So with all these things with rates going on, is that the case now?
Well, no, there are, especially for first-time home buyers, there are still options for, a 3% down. So those things haven't gone away. And what I thought was really interesting is the definition of a first-time home buyer. I thought a first-time home buyer is a first time, and you're only a first-time home buyer once. No, if you have sold and rented or lived out of the country or whatever for 3 years and come back into the market, you're a first-time home buyer again. Bless them.
Good news, everybody. All you renters out there, you could be first-time buyers
again and get all sorts of
excuse me again. So, I actually had a buyer recently, really smart, sharp gal. And she was a first-time buyer. We just closed on her place at 17 Division. She got one of those special first-time buyer 3% down deals. And we kept saying, how do you do this at that price point and 3%? And she did. And the loan closed beautifully. So they're out there.
They are out there. What else? We are seeing a dip in the mortgage market.
Here, we talked the stats I just gave. Those are in the rearview mirror, except for maybe showings, but they're basically in the rearview mirror. How many went under contract last month? That's not many. How many are going under contract today? So a good way for us to say, where are we in the marketplace today is to ask lenders what kind of applications they're getting, because that's what's happening on the ground. And so, to your point, Maria mentioned.
Yeah, real drops. 17%
drop in mortgage applications, not versus last year. A lot of my stats were like versus last year. This is versus last week, 17% down. And in fact, she said to us, the weakness in both purchase and refinance applications pushed the market index to the lowest in 22 years. I think it's just because rates are going up so fast. People are like,
But I can also understand why refinancing is down, because they often have lower rates than already in place. They've done their refinancing and they've got a lower rate already in place. And so they're looking for other ways to get the money that they were looking for. There are all sorts of other loans you can get that might be lower than a mortgage rate. So that's probably what's going on there. But it says that the market is slowing, and always when there is a change in the market, and Ann and I are going to talk about the market is changing. We are changing from a wildly strong seller's market where buyers are out there looking and paying, to a more balanced market. And it may become a buyer's market. We don't know, but we're watching the change, and we're going to stay with you as the market changes and bring you up to date. But right now, this is how we're talking to our people, to our buyers and our sellers, about the change. When we started, Ann, we started at a very sort of tame market, coming out of COVID. Where is it going to go? And when we started doing this show, and so we've been through one change, an up change, a market rising.
It become wild.
Yeah. And now we're changing back to, we don't know where it's going, but right now it's downshifting. So how are you talking to your people? How are you talking to how are you educating your buyers, Ann, about this changing market?
Well, first of all, don't expect rates to go down. Don't stay out of the market because you think there's going to be a change. We're going to see them be stable or go up. And so, you can always refinance later, but don't stay on the sidelines because you think you're going to see rates go down. That's the first thing.
I agree.
The second thing is people are like, oh my gosh, are we going to have our price is going to drop? Or are we going to have a big bubble burst? And the answer to that is no, because
unlikely. We don't know. Unlikely, really unlikely.
It's very unlikely. And historically, when we go into these recessions, prices don't drop.
No.
The 2008 thing, we saw a drop, but that was the anomaly. Typically, they don't drop. And so, especially in Chicago, we saw an increase, but we were not like the coasts where they were seeing 20. And I even talked to some market where they were up 40% like in 1 year in prices. That's insane. So that kind of thing may have a dip. I think we're less likely to have a huge dip here in Chicago. We're the steady Eddie of the real estate market. So anything else you were telling your buyers?
Well, some are thinking, well, I got to wait till the stock market goes back up. The stock market is one aspect of your financial portfolio. You got to address housing, which is another aspect of your financial portfolio. Don't expect to be able to go into the stock market and use that money for a down payment. So just you're going to have to look at lower down payments if money's an interest. But right now, one of the fastest growing prices out there in the market that's driving inflation, in addition, of course, to gasoline, is housing. So take care of addressing and dealing with the housing risk. Don't stay out of the market necessarily. So, another thing I'm telling my seasoned buyers, really the more seasoned ones, the ones who've been disappointed by this, is now sellers aren't getting as many multiple offers. I mean, certain houses in certain neighborhoods are always going to get multiple offers, always. Even in a down market, they're going to get multiple offers. So, but most houses won't get multiple offers. Most condos won't get multiple offers. And thus, you will be in a better position to negotiate price or negotiate terms. Another thing I'm telling them is that right now, the summer, when we all have much more fun stuff to do, get out and run around, June, July, and August are quiet. So that's a really, it used to be January was quiet, not the last couple of years, but acting in a quiet market means you're the only one out there, and sellers will be much more receptive to you. So this is a good time to start acting. And so, this is the time to get your ducks in a row and to get going, even though you've got a lot of other stuff you want to do. What are you What are you telling new buyers? Anything different to new buyers versus more seasoned buyers?
Well, it's a good time to be in the market if you're a new buyer, because these sellers are going to be a little more negotiable. You've got more product to choose from, and you're under less pressure to make a quick decision than you were 3 months ago, and that's a real good place to be in. Sellers are going to be more open to making some fixes in their price. They're more open to a rent back.
Yes. It's also true that when we were just talking about these people who were trying to buy, 6 months ago, who just kept losing, those people are sick of it. They're sick of the whole process. So new buyers who aren't jaded, who haven't had their feelings hurt and haven't been terribly disappointed, you're out there and ready to go. So it's actually pretty good to be out there.
Absolutely right. So again, there are, oh goodness, I can't believe this scratchy throat. Excuse me. There are fewer buyers. There are ways to get down payment money. I mean, you can still borrow from your 401k for a down payment as an opportunity to buy and get in the market. And just remember, when they talk about inflation, housing is a hard asset, and that's a good thing to be in as you consider the potential.
So all of these things are also what I'm telling my sellers. I'm letting them know that the slowing of the market is a national market shift, not just Chicago. Don't get mad at Chicago. And that buyers are pulling back because of interest rates. My sellers know this, but the seller who says they have to take my house as is, I don't want to even clean up, that's a seller who's not going to be successful in this market. And if they feel that way, maybe they should wait to sell, but it doesn't make sense. So do the work, and you can still be successful in this market, I think, anyway. Is that what you're telling your
Absolutely
people?
right. You need to present a good product. You need to be a little flexible. You
Yes.
know, they called they called it a seller's market for a reason. You know, as
Yeah.
we shift to a more stable market, the seller isn't the driver anymore. And so they're going to have to take on a different mindset.
You know what I tell my sellers? We never turn down a showing, ever.
Right.
You know, I might try and negotiate a time, but if we can't, we do it. We never turn down a showing. And it's amazing to me that there are sellers out there who are still turning down a showing. I'm like, really?
Right.
Okay.
Well, and everything's a data point for those sellers. You know, you mentioned that your open house was slower this weekend. My open houses were slower, and you know, a seller saying, "Well, why are you asking me to reduce the price? We haven't had any showings." Haven't you heard that one before? Right? We haven't any
That's
showings.
fine.
Well, the fact that you have no showings is the data point, right? Is that we need to be
Yes.
getting the buyers in there. So.
Well, now that's a nice segue to the next topic, which is we're talking to our people about pricing, and how to price effectively. It's even more important in a balanced or a buyer's market to be really effectively priced. And so, what are you telling your sellers, Anne?
Well, spending power has declined for the buyers. So you have a choice. If you need to sell right now, you need to get ahead of the curve, so to speak. You know, somebody's going to reduce their price to attract these buyers. So is it going to be you, or is it going to be your competition?
Well, you know, and that's really interesting. So one of the reasons you work with a real estate broker is that they know where the market is headed. So when we come up with a comparative market analysis for our sellers, we tell them where it is likely to sell today. And in a hot market, when we see prices rising, you might price it to be where the market is going to be. So price it a little higher than where it would sell today, because the market is rising, and you don't want to. It always sells where it's supposed to sell, which is why, you know, when I look through all these stats on where things close, they often, especially the things that close fast, they close 100,000 higher. They close much higher than list price, because the market does take care of it. But when it's a changing market, we might price it lower, because we know where the market is going, and we want you to be successful. And you don't market where it would sell today. You might market a little bit lower, so that you are the one that sells at that price, rather than having to chase the market down. The idea is you want to price it where the market is going, because you want to be the one that sells at the best price, rather than at a price that drops and drops and drops.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah.
So, in summary.
No. I'm also telling them, yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk more about this later.
In a shifting market, both parties are going to be on the edge, right? They both have to be flexible. They both, and you know, above all, work with an agent that knows what they're doing.
We've got a couple of listings to share with you. I'm going to share my cute little 2-bedroom, 2-bath at the Ambassador House in the Gold Coast. Can I do that right now? You
can.
I realize that I'm late. Okay. Window. Not window. Yeah, the window. Whatever. Here we go. You got it? Okay, good. This is the Ambassador House. Can we get rid of the Kyle Harvey across the bottom? There we go. Okay. Nice lobby. This is a east-facing, low floor, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, huge living rooms. View, you know, that's her east-facing view. She's got an extra window that faces north. So this is one of the brightest units. The A units are the best units. So this one's got an original floor plan where they've kept the closed galley kitchen, as we all know, people who watch know that I'm returning to a small kitchen. I live in the same building, so I know this one well. Big bedroom. That's a 16 by 16 bedroom.
The room sizes are so wonderful in this building.
Huge closets. I mean, those are enormous walk-in closets too. Pretty baths.
Oh, that is
tile
pretty.
all the way up to the ceiling. This is the second bedroom. It's 14 by 14, huge, with an entire wall of closets. And then it's just too much. It's got a nice pool in this building, beautiful views from the roof decks, glorious grills, lovely. It's a great place to live. So stop sharing. Your turn.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to share. I have two properties. One is 625 West Jackson. Listen to this.
Yeah, just go back. 450.
450.
Yeah.
Be in the Gold Coast with a huge 2-bedroom for 450. Love it.
Sorry.
That's a real good one, people. The other one you should consider, this is especially for Loop college students, Rush medical students. It is a brick and timber loft in the West Loop, 625 West Jackson. Includes a balcony, washer and dryer, hardwood floors, fireplace. Includes deeded parking, and the price, $265.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Good work.
Fabulous. And 7-Eleven's on the first floor. Your dry cleaner's around the corner. You're next to FFC. Walk to Mariano's. The next block is H Mart. Great.
And then
property.
keep it as an investment.
Oh, that's the other thing. It is investor friendly.
Yeah. No, this is
There's
brilliant.
no rental rules. So this is a great property. Here's the new one. Okay. So that's 6 North Michigan.
And the living room faces Millennium Park, right?
Correct.
So
and it's got views north up Michigan Avenue too. It's really cool. 2550 square feet for $1,190,000.
How many square feet?
2550.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's a nice unit. Really nice unit. I don't know if you noticed the closets, the Rimedicio closets, an Italian designer, very expensive and wonderful. They really put money into this property. So
that's a great one. Well, I look forward to hearing that goes. Yay.
Yay. Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, everybody.
We'll be back soon with more detailed information on mortgages, hopefully next week.
Perfect. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.